Hi guys, I'm Gabby O'Neill, Associate Director of Career Services at the University of Dallas, and today I'm going to talk to you about 5 resume tips to make your resume stand out. The first tip is to know your purpose and know your audience. That will determine if you decide to write a resume or a CV. If you're applying to a job or an internship in any industry really, in the nonprofit or the public sectors, you want to write a resume. A resume will emphasize your education, your skills, and your work experience, and it's usually limited to 1 page if you have 10 years or fewer of work experience. If you want to apply to a graduate program or a research opportunity, you'd use a CV. You'd also use a CV if you plan on teaching. The CV is similar to a resume in that it includes all of your work experience and your educational experience, but you also want to emphasize academic information. That can include any research you've done, publications, presentations, if you've done any teaching or tutoring, and any other academic achievements, whether they be scholarships or awards, fellowships, or grants. The CV is also not limited to 1 page. They can be 2 pages or even longer. So tip number 2 is to include distinct sections in your resume. So now that you know your purpose and your audience, you can actually tailor the sections of your resume toward what you're applying for. Whether you decide to write a resume or a CV, you always want to keep the standard sections, which include your education, your experience, and some skills. But you can also include other sections like relevant coursework if you want to demonstrate that you have the knowledge but you don't yet have experience in something. You can also include class projects that you think are relevant to the position. And you can also include links to your online profile to demonstrate more of your work, or you can include a link to your LinkedIn profile. As long as you're following the general expectations of including information like your education, your experience, and your skills, you can really add and craft any additional sections to tell your own unique story. So if you feel like you're lacking in skills and experience, you can add different sections to accommodate and to supplement your skill set to show that you're really qualified for the job. Tip number 3 is to focus on your achievements. One of the main things that we see when people write resumes is that when you're writing your experience, you write about what your job was like and what you were expected to do on the job and what your duties were. What employers really want to see is what made your experience in that position unique and what you were able to uniquely contribute to the organization within your role. So what you want to do instead of describing what you did day to day or what your job was like, the best thing for you to do is to actually describe what your results were, what your contributions were, describing any projects that you had to complete or any teams you had to lead. So no matter what your experience was, whether it was an internship or a volunteer experience or a summer job, try to think about ways that you were able to contribute to the organization, ways that you streamlined things, projects that you completed, anything that you did to make a positive impact upon the organization is really what employers want to see. For example, this person wrote in their first bullet point, wrote over 100 internal external news releases pertaining to company initiatives. Numbers are really helpful in demonstrating how impactful you were able to be. So if you can include numbers, figures, percentages, that also helps sell what you were able to deliver on a project. The important thing to remember is that recruiters have a general idea of what a lot of jobs entail. For example, a recruiter will know what a restaurant server does day to day. You're serving customers in a fast-paced environment, you're dealing with difficult customers, you have to get a food handler's license, etc., etc. But if you can talk about how you trained other employees, if you ever received the distinction of Employee of the Month, those kinds of things will really stand out to an employer instead of you describing what they're generally expected to hear about a position. Tip number 4 is to use strong and specific verbs. You'll note in this sample that this person has strong verbs in the first word of each bullet. So they have wrote, developed, conducted, maintained. These are all really impactful words that you can use And you can also just Google search, strong resume verbs. These are more specific than verbs like helped or assisted. And you also don't want to start each bullet point with responsibilities included or projects included, duties included. You want to start each bullet point with a verb demonstrating that you are actually contributing. The final tip, tip number 5, is to tailor your resume to the specific job posting or internship posting that you're applying for. The easiest way to do this is to write a summary statement. The summary statement is exactly what it sounds like. It's a statement that encapsulates relevant skills and experience in relation to the job that you're applying for, and it showcases what you bring to the table. So you want to make sure that in your summary statement you're including relevant skills and experience that are peppered throughout your resume and tying them together in a nice little statement at the top of your resume. Also, don't worry, you don't have to create a summary statement from scratch. Let the job description or the internship description write the summary statement for you. Usually job descriptions have a requirements section or a qualifications section that encapsulates the relevant skills and experience that they want from you. So any of those skills and experience that you possess, you can include those in your summary statement. That way your summary statement and your resume all together are directly mirroring what that job is looking for. So to summarize the top 5 resume tips to help you make your resume stand out, number 1, know your audience. Just taking some time to really tailor your resume to who's going to be looking at it will make a difference. Number 2, include distinct sections. Follow the general resume rules and format, but know that you can tailor your sections to tell your own unique story. Number 3, focus on your accomplishments instead of describing the job itself. Number 4, always use strong verbs. Try to avoid generic verbs and the words responsible for. And number 5, tailor, similar to number 1, is knowing your audience and knowing who's going to be reading your resume and taking the time to really make sure that your resume matches what you're looking for. Thanks so much for watching, guys. For more tips on resumes and more career development topics, make sure to follow us on Instagram and on YouTube at UD Career Dev. Thanks!